Pabrika ng lithium battery sa Missouri, USA ang nabalot ng apoy. Nakaligtas kaya ang mga manggagawa sa pabrika? Sabay-sabay nating alamin yan mula sa detalye ng mga balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Rikki, Alagao, Flores at ito ang Mata ng Agila International para naman sa mga headlines ngayong Biyernes ng gabi. Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. siniguro ang tulong sa mga biktima ng bagyo para makabalik na sa normal na pamumuhay. Department of Health nagdeklara ng Code White Alert mula November 1 hanggang 2. Dalawa patay habang lagpas sa 500 naman ang sugatan sa hagupit ng Typhoon Kongray sa Taiwan. Bahang dala ng Storm Dana sa Spain, kumitil lang higit sa 150. At Japan, balak na magpadala ng wooden satellite sa kalawakan. Ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na patuloy ang magiging tulong ng pamahalaan sa naging biktima ng nagdaang bagyo para makabalik sila sa normal nilang pamumuhay. Ayon sa Pangulo, prioridad din ng gobyerno ang pagkakaloob ng proteksyon sa mga maliliit na komunidad at kabuhayan ng mga Pilipino sa mga lugar na sinalanta ng bagyo. Anya, dapat mapalakas ng gobyerno ang mga komunidad sa ating bansa laban sa mga epekto ng climate change.
Ang mabilis na pagresponde sa mga nasalanta ay mananatiling prioridad natin. Kasama ang DSWD, DND, DPWH, DILG at iba pang mga ahensya ng pamahalaan. Maaasahan ninyong pagtitibayin pa ang ating national at local disaster risk reduction at response.
Sinabi rin ng Pangulo na gagawin ng kanyang gobyerno ang lahat para mabawasan ang mga namamatay sa mga kalamidad. Kabilang rin dito ang pagtiyak na mapaliit ang bilang ng mga pamilyang apektado nito. Naglaan ang Department of Labor and Employment o DOLE ng higit sa 400 milyong piso para matulungan ang mga naapektuhan ng Bagyong Christine sa Calabarzon. Ayon sa ahensya, tutulong sila sa pamamagitan ng kanilang tulong panghanap buhay sa ating Disadvantaged Workers o TUPAD program. Sinabi ni DOLE Regional Director Roy Buenafe, target na matulungan ng ahensya ang higit 70,000 mga manggagawa na naapektuhan ng kabuhayan ng dahil sa bagyo. Ang pinakamalaking pondo ay ilalaan sa lalawigan ng Batangas kung saan halos 30,000 disadvantaged workers ang naapektuhan. Sa ilalim naman ng TUPAD program, 10 araw na magtatrabaho ang mga disadvantaged workers at tutulong sa mga community cleanup, debris clearing at iba pa. Tiniyak din ng DOLE na ang pinakamataas na minimum wage ang ipagkakaloob nito sa mga nakasama sa TUPAD program bilang kanilang sweldo. Inihayag ni Senator Amy Marcos na posibleng magbago ang magiging polisiya ng Estados Unidos lalo na tungo sa Pilipinas kapag natapos na ang gaganaping presidential polls ngayong Nobyembre. Ayon sa Senadora, partikular na rito ang immigration, investments at pati na rin ang defense sector. Binigyan din ni Senador Marcos ang responsibilidad ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas na maprotektahan ito ang ekonomiya ng bansa, gayon din ang mga mamamayan nito. Batay sa datos ng gobyerno, nasa humigit kumulang 4.5 million Filipino-Americans ang kasalukuyang naninirahan sa Estados Unidos. Sinabi rin ng mambabatas na prioridad ng sinumang Pangulo ng US na unahin ang interes ng mga Amerikano. Isasagawa ang US presidential election sa susunod na linggo, November 5. Handa po ang pamunuan ng North Luzon Expressway o NLEX na tulungan ang sinumang motorista na nagkakaaberya sa kanilang pagbiyahe sa mga expressways. Ipinatigil din muna ang mga road reblockings para hindi maging sanhi ng matinding traffic sa NLEX at matiyak ang maayos na biyahe ng mga motorista sa mga expressway na uuwi ng probinsya para sa long weekend. Samantala, kapansin-pansin na maluwag ang mga toll plazas sa NLEX Balintawak. Light din ang traffic situation sa iba pang toll plazas at entry points papasok ng NLEX. Sinabi ng pamunuan ng NLEX, October 29 pa lamang ay nagsiuwian ang karamihang tao o karamihan ng mga tao panorte, kaya isa ito sa nagpaluwag sa NLEX ngayong Biyernes. Pero kung bilang ng mga nagsiuwi naman ang pag-uusapan ay mas nadagdagan daw ang bilang ngayong taon kumpara noong mga nagdaang taon.
Wala pa po kaming exact data po. Pero ang aming inaasahan, sir, mula po kahapon actually on a daily basis until November 4, meron po kaming ine-expect na tataas po ng 10% yung ating volume mula po dun sa normal daily average po natin na for NLEX is 330,000. And then for SCTEX po is 78,000 and for our NLEX Connector Road po ay 19,000. So plus 10% po yun. Yun po yung ine-expect po natin.
Kaugnay nito ay inilagay naman ng Quezon City Police Department o QCPD sa heightened alert ngayong long weekend. Nagdagdag din ang QCPD ng mga pulis na magbibigay seguridad sa mga matataong lugar maging sa mga residential area na laging target ng mga magnanakaw. Pagaganahin din ng QCPD ang kanilang squad drone bilang dagdag suporta sa pagmonitor ng crowd estimation sa ilang mga lugar sa Quezon City.
Kaya mas pinahigpit po namin ang seguridad sa mga sementeryo, sa mga terminal, sa mga pampublikong mga lugar. Nag-full force po kami. Lahat na full alert po kami ngayong long weekend na to. And minaximize namin ang deployment dito sa Quezon City. Nag-deploy kami ng mahigit 4,000 na kapulisan. At marami rin kaming kasama from other agency at mga volunteers. Nagtulong-tulong kami para mas mapanatili natin ang safety ngayong long weekend na ito.
I'd rather not. Itong maikli at matipid na tugon ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sa mga reporter na nagtanong sa kanya ukol sa mga dating pahayag ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Naging mainit na usap-usapan kamakailan ang presko ni Vice President Duterte kung saan sinabi nito na ipahuhukay ang mga labi ng dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. at ipatatapon sa West Philippine Sea. Nang tanungin si Pangulong Marcos Jr. kung dumating na ba sa point of no return ang relasyon nila ni Duterte, ay simple lang at matipid pa rin ang sagot ng Pangulo. Sinabi lamang nito sa mga reporter na pag-uusapan natin ito sa ibang pagkakataon. Dati nang pinayuhan ang ilang mga nasa politika sina Marcos at Duterte na ayusin ang gusot sa kanilang relasyon. Nagdeklara po ang Department of Health o DOH ng Code White Alert na tatagal hanggang bukas, November 2. Sa ilalim ng Code White Alert, lahat ng healthcare workers sa mga pagamutan ay dapat naka-alerto sa anumang medical emergency. Dapat ding sapat ang naka-duty na doctors, surgeons, anesthesiologists at nurses. Samantala, ang Operation Center naman ng mga ospital ay dapat makipag-ugnayan at mag-report sa regional at central office ng DOH. Payo naman ng DOH sa publiko. Sa panahon ng long weekend, tiyaking planado ng mabuti ang mga biyahe at nasa maayos na kondisyon ng mga sasakyang gagamitin, magdala ng tubig, pagkain at pananggalang sa ulan at sikat ng araw. Inaasahan ang dagdag bawas sa presyo ng oil products sa susunod na linggo. Ayon sa projection ng Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau, posibleng mabawasan ng 40 hanggang 70 sentimos ang presyo sa kada litro ng gasolina. Maaari namang hindi gumalaw o kaya'y mabawasan ng 20 sentimos ang presyo ng kada litro ng diesel. Sa kerosene naman o gaas ay pwedeng madagdagan ito ng 10 hanggang 20 sentimos sa kada litro nito. Sa kaugnay na balita, sumalubong naman ang ngayong buwan ng Nobyembre ang dagdag sa presyo ng liquefied petroleum gas o LPG. Sa Sa advisory ng Petron Corporation, dadagdagan nito ng 1 peso and 60 centavos ang kada presyo o ang presyo sa kada litro o kilo ng gasul. Habang 1 peso and 64 centavos naman ang taas sa kada kilo ng Soleno LPG ng Pilipinas Shell. Ang isang tangke na may bigat na 11 kilograms ay may dagdag na 17 pesos and 60 centavos para sa brand na gasul. 18 pesos and 4 centavos naman ang dagdag para sa Solane. Ang muling pagtaas sa presyo ng LPG ay diktang inilatag na contract price sa pandaigdigang merkado. Susunod, Typhoon Kongray pumatay ng 2 katao sa Taiwan. United Nations kinondena ang ginawang pag-atake ng Israel sa mga pagamutan. At Elon Musk hindi sumipot sa $1 million voter giveaway hearing. Mga detalye ng mga balitang yan sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Ang proyekto ng Responde at REH Kings Empire Corporation mas pinalakas dahil ang Respondeng Ka-Kings, may batch 2 na. Kwento ng grupong umaalalay sa mga babaeng nakipaglaban sa breast cancer. Ating tunghayan. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde. Mata ng Mamamayan.
Let's live together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
Papalapit na ang weekend at again, a new episode of Corina Interviews. Ang kanyang mga birit halos umabot na sa ibang planeta. Abay, baka si Jonah yan ah. Matapang niyang ikinwento ang musika ng kanyang buhay. Aba, 10 years old pa lang daw siya nang sila'y iwan ng kanyang nanay. Kaliwat kanan din ang mga pagsubok sa mga singing contest na sinalihan. Aawitan tayo ni Jonah ng kwentong inspirasyon, paghilom at pagpapatuloy sa hamon ng buhay. Dito lang yan, Corina Interviews this coming Sunday, 6 p.m. sa Net 25.
Sunday 25.
Patay ang 2 katao habang nasa 515 naman ang sugatan. Ito ay matapos tumama ng bagyong Kongray sa Taiwan. Ayon sa mga otoridad ay nasawi ang isang individual nang mabagsakan ng puno ang sinasakyang kotse nito habang ang isa naman ay nabagsakan ng poste ng kuryente. Bago ang pananalasa ng bagyong Kongray ay una nang sinuspindi ng gobyerno ang mga pasok sa trabaho maging sa mga paaralan. Dagdag pa rito, higit sa 500 na biyahe sa paliparan ang kinansela kasama na ang 300 na international flights. Nagpadala rin ang mga opisyal ng higit sa 34,000 mga sundalo para tumulong sa rescue operations. Samantala, aabot naman sa 8,600 ang nailikas na mga residente na ngayon ay nasa evacuation centers. Nagpalipad na naman ang North Korea ng bagong intercontinental ballistic missiles sa kanilang tinatawag na Hwasong 19. Ang naturang missile na binansagan ng kanilang state media na the world's strongest strategic missile ang pinakamalayong naitalang missile launch na isinagawa ng Pyongyang. Ikinabahala naman ito ng ibang eksperto dahil ang demonstrated range nito ay posibleng paabutin ng North Korea sa Estados Unidos. Pinaniniwalaan nilang pinalabas ito ng North Korea bilang tugon sa isinagawang live fire attack drills ng South Korea at ng US. Aabot na po sa 10,000 na mga batang kasundaluhan ang ipadadala ng North Korea sa Russia sa gitna ng patuloy na sigalot sa Ukraine ayon sa Pentagon. Ayon sa Estados Unidos, ang ginagawang pagpapadala ng sundalo ng North Korea sa giyera ng Ukraine at Russia ay maaaring maghudyat ng malaking tensyon sa iba't ibang kaalyadong mga bansa. Ikinababahala rin ng Estados Unidos na maaaring tumagal pang muli ng 3 taon ang giyera sa pagitan ng Ukraine at Russia dahil sa pagsali ng mga sundalo ng North Korea.
Now, we're closely tracking the unprecedented level of direct military cooperation between Russia and the DPRK. In our meetings today, we shared our deep concerns about the deployment of DPRK troops to Russia. We also discussed how we're going to work together with our allies and partners to respond to this dangerous and destabilizing escalation. The evidence now suggests that North Korea has sent around 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia. And some of these DPRK troops have already moved closer to Ukraine. And we're seeing them outfitted with Russian uniforms and provided with Russian equipment. And I am increasingly concerned that the Kremlin plans to use these North Korean soldiers to support Russia's combat operations in Russia's Kursk region near the border with Ukraine.
Sinabi naman ng Presidential Office ng South Korea na 3,000 mga troops na ang sundalo ng North Korea ang kanilang namataan na papunta sa battlefront sa Western Russia. Ayon pa sa South Korea, ang pagde-deploy ng mga batang sundalo na siyang gagamitin laban sa Ukraine ay maaaring mauwi sa madugong pagkaubos ng mga ito sa kadahilan ng wala pa silang kaukulang combat experience at ginamit lang umano sila ng North Korea bilang tugon sa makukuha nitong bayad sa Russia. Makatatanggap kasi ang North Korea kada buwan ng kaukulang bayad mula sa Russia na aabot sa $2,000 kada isang sundalo. Samantala, ayon sa ilang mga eksperto, nakikita ni North Korean leader Kim Jong-un na galaw ito para makalikom umano ng mga foreign currency at seguridad galing sa Russia kapalit ng pagpapadala ng kanilang mga sundalo para labanan ang Ukraine.
I call upon them to cease their potentially destabilizing behavior in both the Indo-Pacific region and now in the European theater as well. And like my colleague here, Minister Kim, I call upon them to withdraw their troops out of Russia. It does have the potential of lengthening the conflict or broadening the conflict if that continues. So.
Pinaringgan ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ang kanyang mga kaalyado dahil sa kakulangan nito ng aksyon ukol sa balitang nagpadala ang North Korea ng mga sundalo para makilahok sa giyera nila ng Russia.
Путін перевіряє реакцію Заходу. Путін перевіряє реакцію країн НАТО. Путін перевіряє реакцію і Південної Кореї. І я вважаю, що після всіх цих реакцій Путін буде вирішувати і збільшувати контингент. Сьогодні він як сапер, я про це відповідав нещодавно журналістам, вважаю, що він як сапер на мінному полі, він перевіряє, а що буде, якщо застосувати цей контингент. І тоді, якщо нічого не буде, а я вважаю, та реакція, яка сьогодні є на це нічого, це нуль. Тоді буде збільшена кількість військових Кореї на нашій землі. І також Північна Корея передавала ракети.
Sinabi pa nito na inaabangan ng Russia ang magiging reaksyon ng West hinggil sa naturang issue, ngunit wala sa ngayon ay wala pang ginagawa ang kanyang mga kaalyado para tugunan ang galaw ng North Korea. Sa ngayon ay nagbibigay ang South Korea ng intelligence assistance sa Ukraine at kinokonsidera nilang magpadala ng kuponan ng mga eksperto upang tumulong sa military monitoring. Sa isang talumpati naman sa harap ng UN Security Council ay pinangalanan ng delegasyon ng Ukraine ang 3 general ng North Korea na nagmamando sa libo-libong sundalo sa Kursk. Pinaabot din ni Zelensky ang kanyang pagkadismaya sa kakulangan ng suporta ng West sa kritikal na parte ng kanilang gyera ng Russia.
The DPRK servicemen are supposed to wear Russian uniforms and use Russian small arms. They will also be provided with Russian identity documents. Notably, to conceal their presence, the DPRK servicemen are expected to be integrated into the Russian units manned by representatives of ethnic minorities from the Asian part of Russia.
Sa ibang balita, hindi nagbabago ang prinsipyo ni Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sa pagganti sa Iran. Sa kanyang pakikipagpulong sa mga bagong kasundaluhan, sinabi nito na mayroong karapatan ng Israel na atakihin ang Iran. Gagawin nila ang lahat ng makakaya para abutin at lahat ng sulok ng Iran. Marapat din niya na mapigilan ng Iran na gamitin ang anumang nuclear weapon.
לישראל יש היום באיראן חופש פעולה גדול מאי פעם. אנחנו יכולים להגיע לכל מקום באיראן על פי הצורך. היעד העליון שהצבתי לצה"ל ולזרועות הביטחון הוא למנוע מאיראן להשיג נשק גרעיני.
מבקש לעמוד.
המסדר יתגן את נשק.
Muling kinundina ng United Nations ang ginagawang airstrikes ng Israel sa mga pagamutan. Nagresulta kasi sa pagkakasugat ng maraming sibilyan at pagkasira ng Kamal Adwan Hospital. Lubos na natamaan din sa nasabing atake ang mga medical supplies na bagong dating. Ang pag-atake ng nasabing mga pagamutan ay isang malaking hamon sa mga rescue teams dahil sa maging ang mga personnel ay inaaresto at kinukumpiska mga essential equipment at maging ang mga ambulansya at fire trucks ay kinukumpiska ng mga sundalo ng Israel. Samantala, kahit sino pa ang manalong Pangulo kina Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump at Vice President Kamala Harris sa November elections, patuloy pa ring pinaghahandaan ng Estados Unidos ang isang potensyal na digmaan sa China. Ayon yan mismo sa mga war analysts. Sa isang war exercise sa Hawaii na tinawag na Great Power War ay nagsanay ang 864 na paratroopers pero 472 lamang ang pumasa. May ilang sundalo na hindi agad nabuksan ang kanilang mga pinto, ang iba naman ay napaaga ang landing. May ilan din na napilayan o nagkaroon ng head trauma. Binanggit din ng pahayagan na may isang sundalong hindi nabuksan ang kanyang parachute at tuluyang bumagsak. Agad namang dumating ang medics para gamutin ang sugatang sundalo. Dahil dito, nag-aalala ang mga U.S. military officials kung paano makikipagsabayan ang kanilang mga sundalo sa puwersa ng China. Ayon pa sa media sources, ang Great Power War Drill sa Hawaii ay dinisenyo upang ihanda mga sundalo ng U.S. dahil naniniwala ang ilan na lumalaki ang tsansa ng digmaan laban sa China. Anila, ang kaibahan nito sa gulo sa Afghanistan at Middle East ay may mga satellites ang China na gagamitin umano para alamin ang posisyon ng mga sundalo ng Estados Unidos. Kaya ngayon pa lamang ay dapat matuto na ang mga sundalo ng US kung paanong lumipad sa ilalim ng radar at hindi ma-detect ng Chinese satellites. In-apply din ng US military sa Great Power War drills ang mga natutunan nila sa Russia-Ukraine War. Pero obserbasyon ng ilang strategists ay nabuking sa Hawaii military exercises na may kahinaan ang Estados Unidos. Giit naman ng ibang war experts, hindi pa huli ang lahat at nagsisimula ng Estados Unidos na palakasin at sanayin ang puwersa nito sa potensyal na pakikidigma laban sa China. Hindi sumipot ang bilyonaryong si Elon Musk sa pagdinig ng kaso laban sa kanya ukol sa $1 million voter giveaway. Tinanggihan din ng judge na pigilan ang giveaway na ito. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Anjo Milano.
Noong Huwebes, sinabi ng isang Pennsylvania state judge na hindi nito agarang isusulong ang kaso laban sa $1 million voter giveaway ni Elon Musk. Sa isang hearing sa Pennsylvania na hindi dinaluhan ni Musk, sinabi ni Judge Angelo Foglietta na nakahold ang reklamo habang pinag-iisipan naman ng federal court na kunin ang kaso. Dahil dito, malaya si Musk na ituloy ang giveaway dahil hindi mareresolba ang kaso bago ang eleksyon sa Martes. Inutusang dumalo ang milyonaryong negosyante na sa kasalukuyan ay nagpopondo ng malaki sa kampanya ni Trump. Samantala, nais ni Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner na ihinto ang giveaway 1 linggo bago ang eleksyon kung saan mahigpit ang labanan sa pagitan ni Trump at ni Democrat Kamala Harris.
This morning, DA Krasner was here to testify. Elon Musk didn't show. We are going to handle this case and continue to handle this case. On mischief night, Elon Musk and his PAC, AmeriPAC, filed legal papers to have the case removed from this court to federal court, and we will proceed to federal court, and we will address the issues there and seek to have the matter remanded back to the state court. After all, this is a case that involves state law issues, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Namimigay si Musk ng $1 million check sa randomly selected na mga tao na pumipirma ng petisyon para suportahan ang kalayaan sa pamamahayag o free speech at karapatan ukol sa baril o gun rights. Ang offer ay limitado sa mga rehistradong mga botante sa isa sa 7 estado na makapagpapanalo sa eleksyon. Iyan ay ang Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania at Wisconsin. Andrew Milano para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Isang California sa mga estadong tinatawag na Deep Blue State at umarangkada na rin ngayon ang maagang botohan doon. Kinapanayam ng ating Net25 team doon ang isang botante na nagsabing sino man ang manalong presidente ng US ay dapat anyang maging sibilisado. Narito ang report ni Eva Basayahe.
Throughout California, early vote centers have opened, with more locations scheduled to become operational in the days to follow. In Los Angeles, voters are turning up ahead of the November 5 election to back their candidate for U.S. president.
I was checked in fairly quickly. I was helped to the ballot box area, and I was assisted in getting my ballot form properly inserted. I did the casting of my vote, and it was good.
Voters like Olivia not only express what issues Californians are focused on, but also voice how the nation should move forward together regardless of who wins the election.
Reproductive rights, environmental health, climate change, and how it affects the U.S. So those are two that are really important to me. I have family members that may feel it's going to be difficult probably migrating to this country if they so choose, depending on whoever wins the election. And even those who don't want to come to America, I mean, everybody's watching. All eyes are on America right now. So I think whether you're American or not, you're invested. However it goes, we all need to remember that as Americans, we are each other's brothers and sisters. So no matter which way it goes, just act as you would if your grandmother was watching you. Act civilly, no matter what. I always say, if you're not going to exercise your right to vote, then you have no right to complain. If you don't vote, don't complain. So that's what I say to that. I think it's important, essentially.
The last time California's electoral college votes went to the Republicans was way back in 1988, when George H.W. Bush defeated Michael Dukakis. Regardless, many in this deep blue state don't view their vote as a formality, but instead as a responsibility incumbent upon all Americans. Reporting from Los Angeles, California, Eva Basayahe from Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Ayon sa Republican supporters ni Democratic Presidential Candidate Kamala Harris sa North Carolina, quiet voters ang magdadala ng tagumpay upang gawing blue state ang kanilang estado. Narito naman ang report ni Cherry Recolizado.
Ito si Army veteran Scott Peoples na itinuturing ang sariling konserbatibo. Maaga siyang bumoto para sa demokratikong si Kamala Harris na tumatakbo bilang kandidata. Ayon kay Peoples, ang election ngayon ang pinakamahalaga para sa kanyang buong buhay.
I am very excited about her, honestly. This will probably be maybe the most excited, and nervous vote I've cast in my life, only because this is the most important election of our lifetime, and first and foremost for me, before policy can even be discussed, is do you have a candidate that will respect the will of the people, concede if they lose a free and fair election, and participate in the peaceful transfer of power? Donald Trump has obviously shown he doesn't respect any of that.
Isa si Peoples na Republicans ng North Carolina na nagsasabing nabago ang pagtingin nila sa partido matapos ang January 6 Capitol attack.
Have just been turned away by what the party's become under Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, and kind of feel like our values haven't changed at all. It's the party's values that have changed.
Tanong niya, bago pa man ang mga usapin sa batas, ang ibang kandidato ba ay rerespeto sa nais ng mga tao, tatanggap ng pagkatalo at makikisa sa payapang pagsasalin ng administrasyon? Ganito rin ang pakiramdam ng kapwa conservative ni Peoples na si Michael Tucker. Si Tucker ay isang technology consultant sa Charlotte. Anya, hindi niya kayang sumuporta sa kandidatong tulad ni Donald Trump.
Bullying, I want to say, it seems so weird to be able to say that as an adult, that you think that's something that'd be in a schoolyard, but it comes down to that. When Trump was coming to Charlotte for the RNC convention, right, really put out a post and said, this is not the guy, I can't, you guys, this is too crazy, we can't do this, you can't sit there and say that, this is a party with Christian values and then nominate this guy, it's not great. I came out to my car the next morning to find all my tires deflated. It's just the start of...
Pinamumunuan ni Tucker ang North Carolina effort para sa grupong Haley Voters for Harris. Si Peoples naman ay aktibo sa Republicans for Harris, mga grupong humihimok sa mga nayayamot na Republicans na bumoto kay Harris. Dagdag ni Peoples, maraming Republicans man ang gustong bumoto kay Harris, natatakot ang mga ito sa panghuhusga ng kapamilya at ng komunidad.
There are some people I've spoken to that just kind of want to remain silent about it and just vote, for Vice President Harris, when they go into the voting booth, and may not want to tell their family and friends, and everyone's got a different situation where I felt, at least in mine, I can be myself and I can, be outspoken, and I wasn't going to be, fired from my job or kicked out of the family or my friend circle. So I guess maybe for myself, I'm lucky in that way, but there are some people we've talked to that, are generally scared of speaking out just because that's been their whole life. And
Cherry Recolisado para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Puntahan naman natin ang Maryland, USA, kung saan ibinahagi sa atin ng mga botante roon ang kanilang mga alinlangan, gayon din ang mga nais nila para sa darating na eleksyon. Narito si Net 25 correspondent Rosel Ferias sa Baltimore.
Nagsimula na rin ang early voting dito sa Maryland 12 araw bago ang November 5 presidential election. Ayon sa mga opisyal, unang araw pa lamang ng early voting dito, may 150,000 na ang naghulog ng kanilang mga balota. Kinapanayam ng Net 25 team ang ilang botante sa estado at inalam kung ano-anong mga isyu ang nais nilang tugunan ng susunod na mga pinuno ng bansa. Para kay Anika na isang healthcare worker, umaasa siyang bubuti ang mga bagay-bagay imbis na lumala ang mga ito.
Hopefully, we get better healthcare, housing goes down, the inflation goes down, and I just hope that all of this struggle that we're having in this country is put to an end eventually.
Para naman kay Diane Schmidt, Presyo ng bilihin at ang tugon sa pabigat na dala nito ay deal breaker para sa kanya. Ani Schmidt, kung lalala ang sitwasyon, ito ay nakababahala.
Just the cost of living. We really need to get everything under control. And that's my hope that that's what happens. My fear is that it's going to get even worse. And things are going to cost us even more money. And we're going to be struggling even more to make ends meet.
Samantala, ayon kay Monique George, ang pagbabantay sa karapatang pantao at pagsulong ng edukasyon ay dapat seryosohin ng mga pinuno ng bayan.
Hope that our rights as human beings does not take another hit, especially people of color or people who don't look like certain races of people. My fear is that education is going to suffer for all children in the United States.
Ayon kay Kiyosha Jenkins, alam niya na maraming dapat gawin ang bagong administrasyon. Ang kanyang pag-asa ay maisaayos ang mga bagay na dapat ayusin.
I know they have a lot of work to do, a lot of things to clean up, like far as the war, the economy, violence, it's a lot of things. And I hope that they make steps to improve it. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but implement things in place for education. I feel like it's a lot of things that are missed on that part. Yeah, hopefully whoever wins will do the right thing by everyone.
Ikinatatakot naman ni Don Stefanik ang kinabukasan ng susunod na henerasyon. Anya, nais niyang ibalik ang panahon tulad noong 4 na taong nakaraan kung kailan anya'y mas magaan ang mamuhay.
However, I am fearful for our children. They can't afford homes, they can't afford cars, they can't afford car insurance, they can't afford to live on their own because of everything being so expensive. So my hope is that we have major change.
Samantala, nakatanaw naman si Kelly Harris sa isang mapayapang eleksyon at umaasang walang karahasang magaganap. Ani Harris, nais niyang pag-isahin ng bagong leader ang bansa.
Well, my biggest hope and prayer is that we have a peaceful election cycle without any violence, and that everyone has a right to participate. Everyone that wants to vote will be able to vote, whether it's mail-in or whether they're standing in line. Big fear is concerns about the violence, potential violence, expectations of the new president would be to rule in fairness and what is in the best interest of majority of the people here, also embracing the differences culturally, and that they can hopefully unite the country. Right now we're very divided, I'd say.
Para naman kay Demetrius na isa ring healthcare worker sa Maryland, pantay na representasyon ang hanap niya na ang lahat ng boses ay dinggin ng susunod na administrasyon.
We have too much fear other than I hope that those who cannot speak up for themselves are able to have a voice that represents them.
Para naman sa isang taga-suporta ni Donald Trump, anumang pagtatanggi ng iba, sadyang mas mahirap mamuhay ngayon kaysa noong nakarang 4 na taon.
And so people want to deny all they want, but what they can't deny is it costs them more to live today than it did 3.5 years ago.
Sa darating na Martes ang huling pagkakataon ng Marylanders na bumoto. Ito ay kung nais nilang marinig ang kanilang mga tinig. Subalit bago yon, mananatili sa kanilang mga isip kapwa ang mga pangamba at pag-asa para sa bansa. Rosel Feria, Baltimore, Maryland para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Umalma ang mga taga-suporta ni dating Pangulong Donald Trump laban sa mga komento ni US President Joe Biden na sinasabing sila ay basura. Si Jessica Bautista para sa report.
Hindi kami basura, hindi kami kalat. Tao kami ng Amerika. Yan ang sentimiento ng mga taga-suporta ni Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump sa isang rally sa Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Para kay Heather Johnson, ang komentong ito ni Biden ang ikababagsak ng kampanya ng Democratic Party.
My reaction is that this is a Hillary Clinton deplorables moment of this campaign, and that the American people are better than this. Don't know why this campaign feels they need to go so negative against an entire population. At this point, even the polls say that's half of America. So our president thinks about half of America like this. We're not garbage. We're not trash. We are the American people. But we're better than this. We can rise above. It will be the downfall of their campaign that they continue to pull out Hillary Clinton comments like this. Hillary Clinton tactics don't work in America.
Para naman kay Trump supporter din na si Chad Solomon, lahat ng pahayag ni na Biden at Vice Presidente Kamala Harris ay basura. Ikinumpara rin ni Solomon ang lagay ng pamumuhay noon na si Trump pa ang Pangulo sa lagay ng pamumuhay ngayon na si Biden ang leader ng bayan.
Well, I believe everything basically that President Biden says is garbage himself, as well as Kamala Harris. And I mean that with a straight face. I mean, what he's trying to implement the past 4 years with inflation, the border crisis, foreign affairs is a mess, and it's been ridiculous. The good thing about it is people now see the contrast from when Trump was in office and now with Biden and Kamala been in office. It's a night and day difference. So common sense would tell everyone we've got to get what works back in office, and that was Trump.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is their supporters.
Noong Martes, sinabi ni Biden sa isang fundraising event ng grupong Voto Latino na ang tanging nakikita niyang basurang lumulutang ay ang mga taga-suporta ni Trump. Batay sa isang transcript ng ipinost sa X ng tagapagsalita ng White House, sinabi ni Biden na ang pagmamasama ni Trump sa Latinos ay hindi tama at hindi maka-Amerika. Ang buweltang ito ni Biden ay matapos tawagin ng komedyanteng si Tony Hinchcliffe ang Puerto Rico na isang lumulutang na isla ng basura. Ito ay isang Trump rally sa Madison Square Garden sa New York. Ang komentong ito ay sinasabing isa lamang sa serye ng bulgar at racist na mga pahayag ng mga kaalyado ni Trump sa rally. Samantala, naglabas ng statement ang White House na nagsasabing ang basurang tinutukoy ni Biden ay patungkol sa nakamumuking rhetoric ng mga taga-suporta ni Trump at hindi sa mga taga-suporta mismo. Ikinumpara ng Trump supporters ang komento ni Biden na parang kay Hillary Clinton noong Setyembre 2016 nang sinabi nitong kalahati sa mga taga-suporta ni Trump ay maaaring ilagay sa sisidlan ng mga kahiya-hiya. Jessica Bautista para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, bilang ng patay sa matinding pagbaha sa Spain lampas na sa 150. Pabrika ng baterya sa Missouri nasunog. At silipin natin ang prototype ng wooden satellite ng Japan. Detalye ng iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
We're going around the world in 3 days at the World Travel Expo 8 to bring you the highlights of this exciting travel event. Discover the must-see moments, special interviews, and a behind-the-scenes look at the latest trends in travel and tourism.
We are helping these small companies like mga startup na travel agencies, yung mga hotels na hindi pa kilala, we are promoting them also. Nagkakaroon sila ng sarili ng market and nalalaman din ng mga travelers na may bago pala dito.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sunday 25.
May mga kwentong nagsisimula sa love at first sight. Pero dito, boses pa lang, todo Todo kilig na! Love me? Love my voice. Simula November 18 na. Dito lang sa Net25.
Together sa Net 25.
Dahil walang hinto ang balita.
Financial straits.
Mata ng Agila Weekend tuwing Sabado, alas 4 ng hapon. Ito ang Net 25. Matatag, matapag, matapak.
Let's get together sa Net 25. Sa Net 25.
Iwakanan din ang mga pagsubok sa mga singing contest na sinalihan. Aawitan tayo ni Jonah ng kwentong inspirasyon, paghilom at pagpapatuloy sa hamon ng buhay. Dito lang yan, Karina Interviews this coming Sunday, 6 p.m. sa Net 25.
Sa Net 25.
Sa pagbabalik ng mga balita, umabot na sa 158 ang bilang ng mga nasawi mula sa matinding pagbaha sa Spain na dulot ng bagyong Dana. Lubog pa rin ngayon sa baha ang mga bayan sa Spain kung saan ang ilang mga ilog ay umapaw na. Dagdag pa rito mga kalsada na hindi madaanan dahil sa mga sasakyan na tinangay ng baha at mga punong bumagsak. Pinaghahanap din ng ilang dosenang mga tao. Ito ay matapos nilang mawala sa walang tigil na pagbaha. Bukod rito ay ilang tao rin ang nailigtas na na-stranded sa mga bahay, basement at gusali. Sarado pa rin sa kasalukuyan ang mga paaralan, museo, public libraries at iba pang mga pampublikong lugar. Samantala, nagdeklara na rin ang gobyerno ng Spain ng 3 araw na pakikiramay sa mga tao na nasawi sa kalamidad. Nasunog ang isang pabrika ng lithium battery sa Missouri sa USA. Kita sa video makapal na usok mula sa nasusunog na gusali. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nabalot ng apoy ang 225,000 square foot na planta ng kumpanyang Critical Mineral Recovery. Ang naturang planta ay lugar kung saan nire-recycle ang mga lithium-ion battery-related materials na galing sa mga battery manufacturers. Tinatawag rin na one of the largest lithium-ion battery processing facilities in the world ang nasunog na pabrika. Rumesponde naman ang Fredericktown Fire Department para apulahin ang sunog habang ang Bismarck Fire Protection District ang umalalay sa operasyon. Wala namang nasawi o nasaktan sa insidente. Nagsagawa na rin ang investigasyon sa sanhi ng sunog ang mga otoridad ng Missouri. Isang rare weather phenomenon ang namataan sa Titovka River ng Russia. Ayon sa mga scientists, ang bihirang pangyayaring ito ay tinatawag ng ice pancakes. Nabubuo ang mga rice pancakes sa mga ilog kapag naninigas at naging yelo ang mga nabuong foam sa tubig. Nagiging bilog naman ang hugis ng mga nabuong yelo dahil sa pagbunggo ng mga ito sa isa't isa, natulong na rin ng mga alon sa ilog. Tinawag na richest man sa China si Zhang Yiming, ang founder ng TikTok. Magkano naman kaya ang kanyang net worth? Alamin natin kay Donna Desyembre.
Si TikTok founder Zhang Yiming ang pinakamayamang tao sa China. Ayon sa Huron Research Institute o HRI, ang net worth ni Zhang ay umabot na ngayon sa $49.3 billion. Tumaas ang kanyang yaman ng 43% kumpara noong nakaraang taon. Ilang media sources ang nagsasabi na bibihiran ng mangialam si Zhang sa pamumuno sa TikTok dahil bumitiw na siya sa pagiging CEO nito noong taong 2021. Pero nasa 20% ang shares niya sa TikTok. Binanggit din ng HRI na si Zhang ang pang-18 number 1 richest man sa China sa loob lamang ng 26 na taon. Samantala, ang Estados Unidos ay nakapagtala lamang ng 4. Ito ay si Bill Gates na siyang co-founder ng Microsoft, ang businessman at philanthropist na si Warren Buffett, Amazon boss Jeff Bezos at SpaceX CEO Elon Musk. Ibig sabihin lamang umano nito, ayon sa HRI ay mas may dynamism ang Chinese economy kumpara sa Estados Unidos. Donna Disyembre, para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Balak ng Japan na magpadala ng pinakaunang wooden satellite sa kalawakan. Mula sa proyekto ng Kyoto University at Sumitomo Forestry ay nabuo ang tinatawag na LignoSat. Ang LignoSat ay inaasahang magiging daan para sa mas eco-friendly na pamamaraan sa mga isasagawang mga space exploration. Ayon kay former Japanese Space Shuttle astronaut Takao Doi, layo ng proyekto na alamin kung posibleng magpadala ng kahoy sa kalawakan.
が作ることできる資材を使って宇宙に発展していければ人間は持続可能なそういう社会も作ることができるということになるわけです。ということで宇宙で木を使えるかどうかを調べようとして木造人工衛星を作ったわけです。
Ayon naman sa pag-aaral ni Flores Science Professor Koji Murata, maganda ang performance ng kahoy sa outer space. Anya, walang corrosive agent sa kalawakan kaya hindi basta-bastang masisira ang LignoSat. At kung mag-expire naman na ang naturang satellite, ay inaasahang masusunog na lamang ito sa atmosfera ng mundo. Nakatakdang ilunsad ang satellite sa susunod na linggo sa pamamagitan ng SpaceX rocket na tutungo sa International Space Station. Nagbigay ngayon ang Real Madrid ng higit sa $1 milyong na donasyon para sa mga biktima ng matinding pagbaha sa Spain. Bahagi ng donasyon na ito ay mula sa inilunsad na kampanya ng Real Madrid Foundation at Red Cross para suportahan ang mga nasalanta ng bagyo. Dagdag pa ng Real Madrid, ito ay pagbibigay daan sa mga tao na nawala ng mahal sa buhay, tirahan at kabuhayan. Sa kasalukuyan ay nasa 158 na ang nasawi mula sa matinding pagbaha sa Spain. Kasunod nito ay ang pagsususpinde ng kanilang laban sa Valencia dahil sa masamang lagay ng panahon. Kasama rin sa mga hindi natuloy na laban ay ang women's match, youth games at futsal games. Binawi na po ng Miss Grand International ngayon ang titulo ng second runner-up sa kandidata ng Myanmar na si Thai Su Nyen. Mapapanood sa video na inilabas ni Thai Su Nyen ang pagnanais niya na ibalik ang korona at titulo. Anya ay hindi niya matatanggap ang naging resulta. Ito ay matapos niyang hindi nakuha ang dalawa sa special awards. Kasunod dito ng viral video sa kompetisyon kung saan makikita na tinanggal ng National Director ni Miss Myanmar ang korona at sash nito nang ilabas ang resulta sa finale. Ayon sa Miss Grand International, ang naging desisyon nila sa pagbawi ng korona ay dahil sa hindi tamang asal na ipinakita nito. Iginiit ng organisasyon ang naging aksyon ng kandidata ay nagpakita ng paglabag sa panuntunan at regulasyon ng kompetisyon. Samantala, sinasagawa ang taunang Miss Grand International sa Thailand kung saan tampok ang mga kandidata na mula sa iba't ibang mga bansa. Feel special. Yan ang dapat abangan sa nakatakdang special guest performance ng K-pop girl group na Twice sa 2025 Coldplay Seoul Concert. Ibinahagi online ng Coldplay na makakasama nila ang Twice sa kanilang 2025 Music of the Spheres World Tour. Magaganap ang concert sa Goyang Stadium kung saan ay dapat paghandaan ng fans ang mga petsa na April 16, 18, 19, 22, 24 at 25. Agad naman itong ikinatuwa ng mga netizens kung saan ang iba ay hindi makapaghintay sa kaabang-abang na performance ng dalawang grupo. Binubuo naman ang grupo ng Twice ng mga miyembro na si Nayeon, Jeongyeon, Momo, Sana, Jihyo, Mina, Dayoon, Chaeyoung at Suyu. Samantala, ilan sa mga hit songs ng British rock band na Coldplay ay ang Fix You, Yellow, Viva la Vida at Hymn for the Weekend. Red light, green light. Naku, tsak na abangan na ng lahat ang pagbabalik ng Squid Game. Ito ay matapos maglabas ng panibagong teaser video. Makita sa bagong trailer ang European Comic Con, Luca Comics and Games, pati na rin ang ilan sa mga kaabang-abang na mga eksena. Mapapanood mula rito ang muling pagsali ni Player 456 sa laro. Ito ay matapos niyang manalo sa Season 1. Susubukan itong kumbinsihin ang mga bagong manlalaro na huwag nang ituloy ang laro para mailigtas ang mga buhay nito. Kabilang sa mga lumabas sa video ay ang mga Korean stars na sina Lee Jung-jae, Wi Ha-jun at Song Gi-hun. Nakatakdang lumabas ang Season 2 ng Squid Game sa December 26 kasama ang mga orihinal nitong mga karakter. Samantala, humakot naman ang 17 nominasyon sa Emmys ang Season 1 ng Squid Game kung saan ay matagumpay nilang naipanalo ang Best Actor in Drama at Best Guest Actress in a Drama. Sa ibang balita, nakatakdang tanggalin ngayong linggo ang kontrobersyal na higanting sculpture hand sa New Zealand. Napagdesisyonan ng alisin ang higanting sculpture hand o quasi na nasa itaas ng City Gallery. Kasunod nito ay ang pagkadismaya, pagkagulat at biruan ng mga netizens sa sumpa na mayroon ang sculpture kaya ito dapat alisin. Ayon sa gallery ay gagamit sila ng helicopter para alisin ito sa itaas kung saan ay nakahanda itong dalhin papuntang Australia. Gawa naman ang quasi mula sa steel, polystyrene at resin na hango mula sa kamay at mukha ni Van Hout. Dagdag pa rito ang inspirasyon ng pangalan nito sa karakter na si Quasimodo ng nobela na The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Agaw pansin ngayon sa mga tao ang unang special pool event ng pygmy hippo na si Tony sa Berlin Zoo. Ayon sa Berlin Zoo Director na si Andreas Kiniriem, ay isinilang lamang nitong Hunyo si Tony na ngayon ay nasa kindergarten age. Anya ay mapapanood ng mga bisitang special event ng pygmy hippo mula sa kanyang sariling pool. Matatagpuan naman ang naturang habitat ng mga pygmy hippo sa lawa at marshland sa kanlurang Africa. Samantala, nagmula naman ang inspirasyon ng pangalan nito sa German football star na si Antonio Rudiger. Lagi po kaming narito para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Ako po si Rikki Alagao Flores na bumabati po ng isang makahulugang weekend sa inyong lahat. Ito pa rin po ang Mata ng Agila International para sa mga balitang nangyari naman sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Punta naman tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for Net25 World News. On tonight's headlines. With just 5 days remaining until Election Day and a record-breaking 63 million early votes already cast, both presidential candidates are making their final appeals to voters in the crucial swing states of Arizona and Nevada.
Election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're exhausted by it. We're done with that.
You know what? We should be emotional. We should be upset. We should be scared and outraged. We should.
They all said, don't come. I said, why? You can't win New Mexico. I said, look, your votes are rigged. We can win New Mexico.
And the news starts now. To the U.S., a Halloween night of celebration turned to terror in downtown Orlando as gunfire erupted just after 1 a.m. Partygoers, many still in costumes, scattered as shots rang out in the crowded streets. Multiple victims have been shot, prompting a massive police response to the area.
The Atlanta Police Department is currently investigating a shooting with multiple victims in downtown Orlando. At approximately 1:07 a.m., officers reported shots fired at Central Boulevard and Orange Avenue. Within minutes, a second report of shots fired was called in south of Washington Street on Orange Avenue. At this time, we are aware of 8 total victims. 2 are now deceased. 6 other individuals who were shot were transported to ORMC for further treatment. Those victims are currently in stable condition. Shortly after reported shots fired, a shooting suspect was located and taken into custody at Washington and Orange. He has been identified as 17-year-old Jalen Dwayne Edgar. He was previously arrested for grand theft in 2023. This is still an active investigation. As we gather more information, we'll provide you with another update.
With just 5 days remaining until Election Day and a record-breaking 63 million early votes already cast, both presidential candidates are making their final appeals to voters in the crucial swing states of Arizona and Nevada. Take a look.
In Las Vegas, Vice President Kamala Harris drew an energetic crowd alongside special guest Jennifer Lopez.
Let me tell you, it has never felt the way it does tonight. I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional, but you know what? You know what? We should. I was born here, and we are Americans. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am an actor and an entertainer, and I like Hollywood endings. I like when the good guy, or in this case, the good girl wins. And with an understanding of our past and a faith in our future, I will be casting my ballot for Kamala Harris for President of the United States proudly. Our pain matters. We matter. You matter. Your voice and your vote matters. And look, don't be afraid to make people around you uncomfortable. Invite people around you to be the change, to go out there and vote. Nobody likes having tough conversations or talking about politics, but trust me, I've been in some of these rooms. I see the way power works in this country. They love it when you do nothing. And it is my deep honor to introduce a woman who has the opportunity in just a few days to make history. The next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
The pop star's appearance brought star power to Harris's message of national unity. Speaking to supporters in Reno, Harris framed the election as a pivotal moment for American democracy.
I know who you are, and here's the thing about all of us. We know that when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. You know what to fight for. And we know we have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're exhausted by it. We're done with that. We all know he is not someone who is thinking about how to make your life better. And this is someone who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and he's out for unchecked power.
The vice president outlined her economic agenda, promising relief for middle-class families.
And at the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president. I will give a middle-class tax cut to over 100 million Americans. Enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries. I've taken on that issue before, I'll take it on again.
Across the state, former President Donald Trump held his own rally, focusing heavily on border security.
The United States is now an occupied country. Can you believe I have to say that? We're an occupied country. They're coming in, and they're by the thousands, and they have equipment that's military-grade equipment. How do they get that? They have military-grade equipment, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. Liberation Day. Through our open border, Kamala Harris is also actively aiding and abetting the worst human traffickers, child smugglers, drug dealers, and bloodthirsty criminal networks on the planet. There's nobody worse than what she's catering to. They even have an app number where to call so they can dump off illegal migrants. They have an app. Can you believe it? They have called, they have cell phones. They have airplanes flying over the border loaded up with migrants that they're dropping all over our country.
In an emotional moment, he introduced the family of Nicholas Ketz, a Marine Corps veteran who lost his life in Mexico in what authorities say was a cartel-related incident.
Just days ago, a young U.S. Marine Corps veteran named Nicholas Ketz from Arizona was driving through Mexico very routinely. Who would think this could happen? For a beach weekend with his great friends. Yet everybody loved him. He had a lot of friends. When he was viciously gunned down on the highway and murdered by members of a Mexican cartel. And we're joined today by Nick's wife, Carrie, his father, Douglas, his mother, Patricia, his sister, Alexis.
And for the trolls that say we're politicizing my son's death, I will tell you to go to the root of the word. It is the policy that contributed to my son being killed. It is the policy that's contributing to the death of other Americans, just like the video you saw that young lady. It is the policy that's contributing to fentanyl coming into the United States. Those are political failures, and we need to end them.
The Hispanic vote looms large in both southwestern states. Recent polling shows Harris with a 12-point advantage among Latino voters, leading Trump 50% to 38%. Rescue teams in Spain intensify their search efforts for those still missing after the country experienced its deadliest flood disaster in modern history, following an unprecedented deluge that dropped a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours. Towns like Paiporta have been left in ruins as residents grapple with the aftermath and the loss of loved ones. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez emphasized the government's commitment to provide resources for ongoing recovery efforts, while criticism mounts over the timing of emergency responses. Take a look.
Rescue teams searched for the missing in Spain on Thursday after scores of people were killed in the country's worst flood-related disaster in modern history. A Spanish government minister said dozens and dozens of people were still unaccounted for after a year's worth of rain fell in 8 hours in parts of the Valencia region on Tuesday. In the town of Paiporta, the epicenter of the disaster, people walked through mangled cars and debris as residents tried to clear the streets. Isabel Seredia says she was lucky to survive. The water was already up to here, to the neck, she said. If it wasn't for my neighbors, I wouldn't be telling this story. In Valencia, this resident says warnings came too late and that deaths could have been avoided. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez urged people in flooded areas to stay at home due to the threat of more stormy weather. He said the government will keep providing resources to search for missing people as long as necessary. Opposition politicians accused the central government of acting too slowly to warn residents and send in rescue teams. That prompted the Interior Ministry to say regional authorities were responsible for civil protection measures. Spain's transport minister said about 50 miles of roads in the eastern region were seriously damaged or impassable, some blocked by cars containing dead bodies. Research group Climate Central said in a report on Thursday that a low-pressure system behind Spain's floods had tapped into an atmospheric river carrying excess moisture from the unusually warm tropical Atlantic. Meteorologists say human-driven climate change is making such extreme weather events more frequent and destructive.
Breaking news from Indonesia, where a tragic fire at a cooking oil factory near Jakarta has claimed the lives of 8 people. Local fire authorities reported the incident this morning. Around 20 firefighting trucks have been deployed to the scene and have managed to contain the blaze in most areas of the factory. Footage from Metro TV shows dramatic flames and thick black smoke rising from a building in the heart of an industrial complex in Bekasi, located on Jakarta's eastern edge. Reports indicate that roads around the factory have been closed as a safety precaution. Suhartono, the head of Berasi's fire department, Department confirmed that all the bodies have been evacuated from the site, but 3 other individuals were injured. He warned that the number of casualties could still rise as the situation develops. This week, North Korea announced the test of a new intercontinental ballistic missile, the Hwasong-19, calling it the world's strongest strategic missile. And state media featured leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter at the launch site. Meanwhile, South Korea warned that North Korea could receive missile technology from Russia amid the Ukraine conflict, and the Pentagon is assessing the launch.
North Korea says this week's missile test featured a new intercontinental ballistic missile it calls the Hwasong-19. State-run television showed videos of the test and photos of leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter at the launch site. Pyongyang lauded it as the world's strongest strategic missile and said it demonstrated the country's military muscle. South Korea warned after the test that North Korea could receive missile technology from Russia as a reward for its help in Russia's war with Ukraine. The Pentagon says it's still assessing the missile launch and didn't yet see any sign of Russian involvement. The Hwasong-19 appears to have the range to strike nearly anywhere in the United States, though questions remain about whether the North has mastered guidance technology and other challenges. Washington and its allies criticized Pyongyang's actions, which came just days before the pivotal U.S. presidential election. Secretary of State Antony Blinken denounced the launch in a press conference Thursday.
One of the things that we emphasized today was a reaffirmation of the United States' ironclad commitment to the ROK security, and that includes through extended deterrence. That's especially important in light of the ongoing provocations coming from North Korea, including another ICBM launch just yesterday. We condemn it in the strongest terms. The latest launch of many and other provocative actions that it's taken. Flagrant violations all of multiple UN Security Council resolutions.
On Thursday, US and South Korean air forces staged joint aerial drills in response to the North's missile launch. In Thursday's tests, the rocket splashed down about 125 miles off an island in northern Japan. South Korean and Japanese militaries say it flew higher than any previous North Korean missile and set new records for flight times.
The U.S. expects North Korean troops in Russia's Kursk region to enter the fight against Ukraine in the coming days. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he's pressing China to use its influence to rein in Pyongyang and its involvement in the Ukraine-Russian war. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
Blinken says the latest information he has is that some 10,000 North Korean soldiers are in Russia. He says about 8,000 of them have been deployed to the Kursk region, where the Russian military is getting them ready for combat.
Russia has been training DPRK soldiers in artillery, UAVs, basic infantry operations, including trench clearing, indicating that they fully intend to use these forces in frontline operations.
Blinken says he expects the North Korean troops to be deployed to the front lines in the coming days. He adds Russia is suffering 1,200 casualties a day in the fighting, and he says that's why Moscow can no longer rely on just its own military.
One of the reasons that Russia is turning to these North Korean troops is that it's desperate. Putin has been throwing more and more Russians into a meat grinder of his own making in Ukraine. Now, he's turning to North Korean troops, and that is a clear sign of weakness.
Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin fears the deployment of North Korean soldiers pushes an end to the war further off.
It does have the potential of lengthening the conflict or broadening the conflict if that continues.
And Secretary Austin, can Ukraine hold on to the Kursk region now that Russia has added military muscle from North Korea?
The answer is yes. And you know, if you take a look at what I said earlier in terms of the numbers of casualties that Russia is suffering on a daily basis, some 1,250 or so casualties per day.
Word from Ukraine is that Ukrainian intelligence officials are skeptical about the effectiveness of the North Korean troops. According to a report in the Financial Times, the major problem will be communication issues with their Russian counterparts. And in the back of the minds of most observers is the outcome of next Tuesday's presidential election in the United States. Many in Ukraine fear that if Donald Trump wins, U.S. support for Kyiv will decrease. They worry about past statements Trump has made that Ukraine will have to give up some of its land to end the war. Thomas I. Likeness, Net 25 World News.
And the news continues here on Net 25. We'll be right back.
Ang proyekto ng Responde at REH Kings Empire Corporation mas pinalakas dahil ang Responding Ka-Kings, may batch 2 na.
Sa Kings Herbal Plus, dito ka tatagal, ka-Kings ako!
Kwento ng grupong umaalalay sa mga babaeng nakipaglaban sa breast cancer. Ating tunghayan. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde. Mata ng Mamamayan.
Step together, Sunnet 25. Sunnet 25.
On Monday, Boeing workers will cast their votes on a new wage proposal that could significantly impact their future. The union has backed an offer that includes a 38% pay rise over 4 years and a larger signing bonus. With production halted due to a 7-week strike and Boeing facing financial challenges, the outcome of this vote could be crucial for both the workers and the company. As they weigh their options, union leaders warn that rejecting this deal might lead to a less favorable offer down the road. Take a look.
Striking Boeing workers will vote on Monday on an improved wage deal that includes a 38% pay rise over 4 years, as well as a larger signing bonus. The offer is endorsed by their union, which told members it had extracted all it could from the plane maker. Labor officials said rejecting it could risk a, quote, regressive or lesser offer in the future. The latest move presented on Thursday comes at a critical moment for Boeing. This week, the company announced it would raise over $24 billion to strengthen its finances, which have been hard hit this year after a mid-air blowout in January that put its safety and quality record under close scrutiny. Those money troubles have been compounded by the now 7-week strike by more than 33,000 U.S. West Coast factory workers. That has halted production on Boeing's best-selling planes. The plane maker's shares rose 2.8% in after-hours trading Thursday after the offer was announced. But it's not yet clear how union members will vote on Monday. The negotiating team has been pushing for a 40% wage increase and other benefits, and union members have rejected 2 earlier offers from Boeing. That included an offer last week for a 35% general wage bump over 4 years, which did not carry the union's endorsement.
A disturbing update tonight in the Mohammed Al Fayed abuse case. Lawyers say the number of alleged victims has grown dramatically, painting a picture of what they're calling industrial-scale abuse. And the scope extends far beyond the walls of Harrods. Investigators say they've uncovered a pattern of abuse that spans continents and multiple properties in Al Fayed's business empire.
The sheer scale of abuse perpetrated by Al Fayed and facilitated by those around him, sadly, continues to grow. The journey with our survivors to have the voice they so desperately deserve has been a deeply personal one for us as the barrister team.
The allegations now stretch from London's prestigious Harrods department store to the glamorous French Riviera, with high-profile victims, including the daughter of a former U.S. ambassador.
As of today, we've now had inquiries from over 421 people. I say that again, we're handling 421 inquiries. The majority of those contacting us are from the UK, but the claims against Harrods and Fayed are still coming in from all around the world.
While Harrods has apologized and launched a compensation scheme, lawyers say many victims remain reluctant to come forward through the store's channels.
That, in our opinion, is an industrial scale abuse. Abuse that could have only been perpetrated with a system that enabled the abuse to happen. And that is what is so key to this case, and why this case, as I've said before, in many ways is the worst case of corporate sexual abuse of women that the world has ever known.
The billionaire businessman who died last year at 94 had consistently denied all previous allegations.
That given all we know now, our survivors just do not trust Harrods to do the right thing with regards to a settlement process. That's not me speaking, that's this lady speaking. I mean, would you?
Israel has launched powerful airstrikes on southern Beirut early Friday morning following evacuation orders to residents. Now, this marks the first strikes in days on this densely populated area. The Israeli military states it's targeting Hezbollah facilities and assets, a claim they've maintained throughout numerous strikes over the past month in neighborhoods where the Iran-backed group maintains influence. Local residents in Beirut expressed concern that these strikes could hamper ongoing ceasefire negotiations.
حرب وحشية ما لها حق أصلا تعمل هيك. إسرائيل كيان غير شرعي، كل اللي بتعمله هو غير شرعي، ولازم إسرائيل يعني وضع لها حد، لأنه إسرائيل متفلتة من كل القوانين والأخلاق الإنسانية.
And this escalation comes amid renewed U.S.-led diplomatic efforts to secure a ceasefire in both Gaza and Lebanon. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reported that Israel and Lebanon are moving toward an understanding on implementing UN Resolution 1701, which could provide a framework for ending the current conflict.
We are working very hard and making progress on reaching understandings of what would be required for the effective implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701. This would be the basis of a diplomatic resolution to the crisis. It's important to make sure that we have clarity, both from Lebanon and from Israel, about what would be required under 1701 to get its effective implementation. The withdrawal of Hezbollah forces from the border, the deployment of the Lebanese armed forces, the authorities under which they'd be acting, an appropriate enforcement mechanism. We have made good progress on those understandings. We still have more work to do, but that's what's necessary to get us to a diplomatic resolution, including through a ceasefire.
However, with U.S. elections approaching on November 5, time for resolution is limited. Lebanese officials expressed pessimism following reports that U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein won't be visiting Beirut after his stop in Israel. The conflict has intensified significantly over the past 5 weeks, with the Lebanese Health Ministry reporting that most of the 2,800 deaths from the past year occurred during this period. Ever wondered how astronauts handle their condiments in space? Think eating ketchup is straightforward? Not when you're floating 250 miles above Earth. Take a look.
Well, one NASA astronaut has given us a rather unusual demonstration of zero-gravity dining that's causing quite a stir on social media.
You're shaking a bottle of ketchup.
Think eating ketchup is straightforward?
Okay.
Not when you're floating 250 miles above Earth.
You're shaking a
NASA
bottle of
astronaut
ketchup.
Matthew Dominic has shared what might be the most out-of-this-world condiment video
You're
you'll
shaking a
ever
bottle
see.
of ketchup.
Squeezing a perfect line of ketchup straight into his mouth. No fries needed. And this space snack was one of Dominic's final performances aboard the ISS. He and his crew, including 2 fellow NASA astronauts and a Russian cosmonaut, made their splash landing off Florida's coast on Friday. So next time you're struggling with a ketchup bottle, just remember, at least gravity's on your side.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on Net 25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.
This program